5262. Welcome back here to What's Cooking Today, the weekend edition, Memorial Day weekend edition. Michael Horn and Paul Stern, CRN Digital Talk Radio. Well, mistakes are made on radio shows, TV shows all over. I just saw one on the Food Network, the Food Network, on one of the news channels. They were showing the oil spill, and they were taking the oil and showing you a fish that's encapsulated in oil and everything, and then it cut right to a food commercial with somebody grilling on the barbecue. So I'm telling you, got to be careful if you're in the broadcasting biz. What about this oil spill? It is out of control, and from elected officials down to those trying to cap it off. I mean, what is going on here? It's like been over a month, and it seems like there's no real active concern about capping this thing off. Nobody up in arms about it, and this is like this disaster, one of the biggest that's ever hit, the biggest probably in the world, in the United States anyway. It's about 5 times now or more the size of that Exxon Valdez. So our thoughts and prayers this weekend to get this thing plugged up already and move along here if we can. It seems to me like we should have some plans in place if we're going to drill to cap things off or close things down and have backup plans. I'm all for drilling. I'm all for getting oil. I'm all for being energy independent. Should have some backup plans in place for this, or at least get some put together before you go do it. So that's the problem this weekend. The big Memorial Day weekend concert's going on at in Washington, D.C. Gary Sinise will be on our PM show throughout the weekend. Joe Montagna was on this show talking about it. You got any plans, Paul Stern, for this Memorial Day weekend?
I do have plans, not exactly full plans, but I do intend to kind of go out and take part in some kind of local activity at a kind of a yet unknown local activity, but I do plan on taking part in something.
Unknown or unknown?
And unknown. I have yet.
Do you do barbecues? Do you get together and put together little barbecues for your family, friends, or whatever you have that? I mean, you mentioned the Weber Grill earlier, and that you've been doing gas barbecuing now. Do you get little get-togethers too?
I would say more intimate affairs, not
so more close, like dinner party type barbecue.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily going to open up the doors of the house and invite everybody over, kind of a situation. But yeah,
I guess that must be the case since I've never been invited.
Yeah, I was going to say, but I'm not one of those people. And I was actually lamenting for the moment, if I could kind of sound off for a second on, I guess not lamenting, but kind of lamenting for those that do these big kind of soirees, these affairs where they literally open up the doors to their homes, to their abodes, and invite people over that sometimes aren't exactly as careful at the other people's homes as they would be maybe at their own.
What do you mean? You mean they like drop food on the floor?
They drop food on the floor, maybe push it underneath the sofa, kind of get it out of the way, hope nobody notices. Leave a ring on, like a coat without a cup.
Has that happened to you in the past?
Oh, it does. It happened, I think, on a couple of occasions. I pretty much slammed the door to the house.
Really?
Yeah. So I hate to be a party pooper, but that is the case.
There was a record executive that used to come by and work a region of Southern California, a very well-known record executive, and every year he would open his house at Christmas time for a holiday party, and he had this beautiful house up in the Hollywood Hills, and he had beautiful white carpeting all over throughout the house, plush, thick, beautiful. And one year he just stopped doing it, and he said that exactly what you're talking about, that people would drop stuff on the carpeting, they'd have to scrub the carpeting afterwards. And I mean, this was a huge industry party, but a lot of times people just don't care. They come in and they don't realize that they're a guest in your home.
You kind of ask yourself, I would imagine, is it worth it when all is said and done?
I think that has a lot to do with the way you were raised by your family, to take care of other people's things as you would your own. Some people don't even take good care of their things that they own. Look at some of the cars that drive around here. They just don't even wash them. Yeah, I mean, you can say they don't have the money to fix them. How much money does it take to throw some water on the car or take a rag and dust it off, for God's sakes?
Yeah, I usually prepare to go to...
Sorry to Jack Roberts, who got a scowl on the webcam there. Sorry, Jack.
Actually, Jack is not in position at his producer's desk.
He's not washing his car. I just told you. That's correct.
The producer's chair is empty. We're actually flying without pilot at this time.
So anyway, yeah, I would agree with you on that.
Yeah, I was going to mention I'd like to go to like the beach or a public park where the guests, if they so choose, they can just litter it away and then.
Well, that's not nice. That's not right either. You don't want to litter away on the beach. That causes a problem.
Well, at least they will be the ones held responsible if indeed they are caught acting inappropriately.
Well, what can we do to bring awareness to this?
It's hard to levy a fine when somebody's doing it within your own house.
There'll be a lot of people out this weekend at national parks and at the beaches.
Absolutely.
And we should bring awareness to the fact that you need to keep your area clean. You need to throw away trash.
That's a good point.
I mean, it's like they have some honor and respect for the Memorial Day weekend and for your own country and the own space in which you're sitting, and keep the area clean.
That's a good point. I'm telling you. Good point. Good point to be made.
Yeah,
and keep the music down, for crying out loud.
Are you upset about loud music now, too?
I don't know what came over me. I'm sorry. I apologize.
There's a lot of anguish that I'm hearing in your voice today. So when you get away, you don't...
These holiday seasons, you often hear about people getting a little nervous and tense around Super Bowl time.
Yeah.
I think Memorial Day, for some, the thought of these big gatherings can be a time of tension as well.
So maybe you and I should go somewhere out for just like Taste Chicago or Pink's or something and have like a barbecued hot dog or whatever and just kind of relax this Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, let somebody else kind of do the cooking.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff on TV. We should mention, of course, the big Memorial Day concert that will be on PBS for the 7th year in a row.
Yeah.
That'll be hosted again. Has Gary Sinise been in it 7 years? I know Joe Montana has. I think Gary's been there about 5 years. That'll be on PBS.
Great concert.
Yeah, so it takes some time. Is that the one that the Beach Boys opened up many years ago?
It was the whole thing, very controversial back in the era of Ronald Reagan.
I think it was 20 years ago.
Secretary of the
Interior, right?
James Watt actually canceled the Beach Boys, and I think it took Nancy Reagan's involvement to bring them back into the fold.
It would have been right at the end of the, it had to be after the Reagan administration, because you had 8 years of President Bush, 8 years of Clinton, and 4 years of...
It was the Reagan administration.
George H.W. Bush. That's 16, that's 20 years right there, and we're in a year into Obama, so it might have been right the very last year of the Reagan administration. But it was a big deal, and it apparently continues. And once again, another great idea, if it is, that the former President Ronald Reagan... By the way, Michael Reagan is the president's son, is our guest on the PM show all weekend long, so check it out. He'll be talking about Memorial Day as well. Straight ahead, Steve, the movie guy, will tell you about where to go and pick out at the movie theaters.
You order a glass of your favorite Cabernet, fresh asparagus, hollandaise on the side, a filet, medium rare,